Hello, hello, this is Fear Dragon coming at you with another StarCraft 2 netcast. Today we have another Protoss versus Zerg, so let's go ahead and introduce these players who were playing at the tournament Boilerfrag at Purdue University. Anyways, down here in the bottom side of Metropolis, a map I feel like I've been looking at a lot lately, we have the blue Protoss player, Mokomi, and his opponent. Up here in the close by air position, we have the teal Zerg player. His name is EndlessWaltz. So as he endlessly waltzes his drones over to those mineral patches, I'm going to go ahead and explain exactly what round this is from. This should be from the first game of the losers finals. So Mokomi, also known as Moki, going to be fighting for his life, as well as EndlessWaltz, as whoever loses this best of 3 series does get eliminated from Boilerfrag. Now I say this in the present tense, but this tournament is already finished, and I am just casting replays, of course. But do not let that damper the excitement, as these games should be pretty gosh darn epic. Both these players are master levels, and they should be pretty gosh darn good and should result in some pretty awesome games. Now we do see the probe from Mokomi just going around, scouting around these drones and asking for a dance partner, as all of these drones are doing the Endless Waltz. But unfortunately, this probe does not fit quite in. He is from the lower class, does not know who he can dance with, as Endless Waltz's drones are so picky about their partners. In fact, one of them, the only one that's singled out, just decides to give up his life because he would rather become a spawning pool than dance with this probe. Poor probe. So this probe is going to take out its anger on the Zerg opponent and just go ahead and block this drone from being able to basically have the same fate as that other drone that did not want to dance with this probe. Now this drone is a very angry one. He's going to get into a fight with this probe, but this probe is a little bit shy. It's not exactly great at fighting. So he's just going to keep running around until potentially he dies. And oh, whoa! Almost losing that probe over there. Now, of course, on the other hand, we do see the Forge Fast expansion. The Nexus is already down for Mokomi, so going to be a pretty economic play. Meanwhile, it looks like that drone finally does get its hatchery down, so this probe is going to go be forever alone over at the third of EndlessWaltz's base. Now, EndlessWaltz has not grabbed a gas geyser yet, so we aren't going to be seeing that early speedling play that is oftentimes used to get some map control early on. Now, what that will mean is that if EndlessWaltz does not opt to get that speed anytime in the near future, he will be very susceptible to any kind of stalker aggression that Mokomi does decide to do. We see the cannon going down, but what I'm talking about with that stalker aggression is that if you do not have the speed research on your Zerglings, a stalker can actually infinitely kite those Zerglings and just keep slowly but surely picking them off. So EndlessWaltz will have to be a bit careful about that. I'm sure that Mokomi knows and is very much aware of that kind of pressure. So if he does see that, or I'm pretty sure he did see that EndlessWaltz did not take those gas geysers. No, it doesn't look like it just quite yet. But he still will be able to put on that pressure if he does notice that. Anyways, we do see the Cybernex core finally going down for Mokomi, so his build is just starting to pick up. Now again, we did see these 2 gas geysers down from Mokomi, so he's going to be very much ready for any kind of tech that he does decide to do in a lot of previous games. Oh, actually, look at that. This poor drone is going to try and build his hatchery, but this probe is just so angry at the world. He's going to go ahead and block that hatchery with a pylon, and once again, the dance is foiled. EndlessWaltz must cease his Endless Waltz to come by with another plan, a backup plan, which will involve Zerglings as the dance partner. And that Zergling will dance the pylon. I don't know exactly what I'm saying, but anyways, this Zergling is going to go ahead and poke at the front. Now he does, actually just a little bit out of range. He should actually be able to check whether or not this forge is in fact upgrading. That can be a little bit telling of if there's going to be any kind of early aggression. Generally, if you're going for some kind of just Stargate play, like a very heavy Stargate play, i.e. 2 of them, then you won't see +1 being researched, as you want to save all of that gas. But it looks like this sentry is going to be doing a little everyone is dancing in this game, and this sentry is joining in on the fun, decides to dance with that Zergling before he kills him. And this drone is going to be trying to dance with the pylon, but the pylon is a pretty beefy partner, and it's going to take a while to be worn down. So this Zergling is going to join in on the fun. It's going to be a threesome for dancing. and just loving dancing today. I don't know why. But we do see, again, a couple more gateways going down for Mokomi. Now, he is also researching that warp gate. It wouldn't be too surprised if we either saw some kind of tech come down from Mokomi, as he is getting that extra gas geyser just now. And where are the gas geysers out for EndlessWaltz? We do see all 4 gas geysers about to be taken, so he will have a huge influx of gas in the near future. He is already starting that layer as well before he actually gets up that third, and it looks like with that pylon just being killed off, he will have the opportunity to take the third, but whether he will or not will determine whether he is going to go for some kind of all-in build. Looks like as of right now he has not decided to take in that third. We do see the robotics facility coming down from Mokomi, so he might be going for, if you have been paying attention to any of the previous casts, that very heavy aggression with a warp prism and maybe a couple of immortals. Now finally we do see that third taken over by the 7-minute or 7.5 minute mark. A pretty late expansion from EndlessWaltz, considering Mokomi did get that Nexus up pretty gosh darn fast. But we're gonna have to see whether or not that really impacts anything. We do see that the worker counts are not too distant apart. EndlessWaltz just slightly behind, but it's not going to be a huge deal as Mokomi is producing 2 workers at a time, and EndlessWaltz is now just producing units to catch up in that army front. Now we see quite a few Zerglings out, and finally Zergling's speed is going to be starting to research, so it's about almost halfway done. So he will have these Zerglings out with speed in time for the main engagement that does end up happening, whether it be Mokomi pushing out or EndlessWaltz going for some kind of big bust. But I think more likely than not, it's looking as though Mokomi is going to be the one that's going to come out of his shell and try and put on a little bit of aggression. Now we do see the Spire has been thrown down for EndlessWaltz, so that is going to be his transition. His game is going to basically be Zergling Mutalisk. I wouldn't be incredibly surprised if we did see some Banelings as well, but as of right now we are not going to see them. You can do this style without those Banelings, but at the same time we do see a Citadel of Adun, also known as a Twilight Council. Citadel of Adun, its StarCraft 1 counterpart. Where is it? Here it is. It has been thrown down from Mokomi, so he's going to actually have some preparation for this Mutalisk, as the Mutalisk or the Spire will be popping soon, so the Mutalisk will be out in just a little bit. That will give Mokomi a little bit of time to either go for that Templar Archives, that Dark Shrine, or just Blink, and that will help him so much in dealing with those Mutalisks. And he also has a pretty decent stalker count, so he shouldn't be too afraid. Now Mokomi does have this observer over here by the third. He is going to see that just now, only now, are there a couple of drones transferring in, and he's going to go ahead and move his observer away to see what else is going on in the base of EndlessWaltz. Actually, does he even know about this Spire? No, he does not. Looks like that Twilight Council might have just been a little bit of precaution for now, as well as allowing him to get that +2 weapons upgrade and +2 armor upgrade. Meanwhile, we do see the third going down for Mokomi. Nice decision, and EndlessWaltz is either going to have to match it or put on some pressure, as having a Protoss be on equal bases as a Zerg can generally be not a very good position for the Zerg player. Now we do see a big Zergling counterattack getting positioned, but wow, stopping right in front of the observer, and Mokomi's going to see this just fine, and he's going to go ahead and position his units over here so that he can deal with the Zergling run by. He now knows that those Zerglings are over there, but so do the Zerglings know about Mokomi's army. Mokomi throwing up the Guardian Shield for the Zerglings that do not actually have a ranged attack, so it doesn't actually quite do as much as he would like. Maybe expecting the Mutalisks, but the Mutalisks are in fact over at his main, picking off a pylon. Will supply block Mokomi. Yes, it will indeed. Oh, actually, no, just pylon finishing right in time for Mokomi, so he's going to be alright in terms of pylons. We do see that an infestation pit has been started as well, with quite a few drones, so EndlessWaltz playing this very smart, getting a lot of drones behind this pressure, using the Zerglings to try and do counterattack style, while these Mutalisks also try and do a little bit of damage. These Zerglings, oh my god, they could have actually gotten to surround and start trying to pick off some of those sentries. Do not decide to, but instead he's focusing on the Mutalisks and using them to pick off this pylon. He has to be very careful though, as there are so many stalkers over there, and they're going to get some good damage off on those Mutalisks. Do manage to pick off one, almost managed to pick off a second one, but do not quite get the kill on that second Mutalisk. A few Zerglings also lost as well, so EndlessWaltz not really getting the better end of that trade, but the nice thing about it is that he's able to do things like this, get 17 drones, because he knows that until Mokomi does get a very solid army that can also deal with the counterattack of EndlessWaltz's Mutalisk, he cannot really move out. So EndlessWaltz is going to go ahead and get this massive drone count of 96 drones. That might actually be too many drones, as that will actually cut in a little bit into his actual army supply, but at the same time he's also going to take his 4th, which Mokomi has not obviously done quite yet. It's going to put him into a decent position. Let's go ahead and take a look at the upgrades as we see +2 weapons on the way from Mokomi. He's sitting at +1/+1. That's going to be very helpful on those Colossus in evaporating those Zerglings. Let's see where the Zergling upgrades are at. Looks like just +1 weapons, or that would be the melee, for those Mutalisks. Let's see if he has researched any of the... No, has not researched anything for those Mutalisks just quite yet, but he is getting that Hive Tech. So once that Hive Tech completes, I wouldn't be too surprised to see him almost immediately, as we do see the money saved up for it, get that Greater Spire going. We also see quite a few Infestors already starting, so EndlessWaltz gearing up for that late game. He has the drone count, he has the bases, he has the tech almost up. He will also have the Infestors in those gas-heavy units, so he is going to be looking to try and take this game very late, and Mokomi is going to need to respond somehow to that potential Broodlord switch that's eventually definitely going to come. And what that will generally entail is that Mokomi is either going to have to get a massive amount, and I mean an absolutely massive amount of Stalkers and some Archons, and potentially a Mothership. We do not see any Stargates down for Mokomi just quite yet, but hopefully he will be expecting that transition soon, as he has not actually put that much pressure back on his opponent. We can see here he has gotten that observer to scout around, see exactly what's around the area, but he hasn't actually put a lot of pressure, and that has allowed EndlessWaltz to get this massive drone count. Now Mokomi himself is getting a pretty big probe count as well, and he's doing EndlessWaltz is doing a nice job just kind of sacrificing a couple of these Zerglings. As we can see, he is getting pretty close to max supply. He wants that supply for the rest of his army, either to be additional Infestors or just for that Broodlord transition. Now, he actually is utilizing that supply for now on those workers. Not sure how much I agree with that as of right now, as he has plenty of workers, but he is going to go ahead and take that 5th expansion, so already very, very far ahead in economy, and he's going to be able to power up his army back into production as soon as he loses it in the engagement so gosh darn fast. As we can see, he is already building up a bank. He's up ahead about 20 supply, and Mokomi is going to start getting maxed out as well, and he is sitting on those upgrade advantages with the +2 weapons already finished. Those Zerglings are going to evaporate. We can see here 19 damage in twice for those Colossus, and a Zergling only has 35 health. Now they do have the +1 armor, but that means that those Colossus should be one-shotting those Zerglings, if I'm correct. But anyways, we do see the Broodlord starting to morph in. Now, it looks like as of right now, EndlessWaltz does have money for additional Broodlords, but for right now, he is a little bit supply capped at 200 of 200. Maybe would be beneficial to sacrifice a couple of these Zerglings, as he could really do a lot of damage. Mokomi only just now getting that Fleet Beacon, which means he cannot have a Mothership for quite a while. EndlessWaltz playing this out beautifully, taking this expansion and this expansion at the same time, and utilizing that very high drone count to just really power ahead in economy. As soon as he loses everything, he can immediately power back up. Now it's going to come down to how good the engagement angle is going to be over here, and how fast EndlessWaltz can reinforce his army. Now the Broodlords are moving across the map. He has to be careful not to let them get caught off guard. They are very much caught off guard, as these Stalkers have blanket. They're going to be able to pick up all of these Broodlords. These Zerglings, what are they doing? They need to get in there, and the Zerglings finally moving in. The Colossus doing a massive amount of damage, but all of the Broodlords have been picked off. How many Funnel Goats are going to be thrown down? It looks like none of them have been using any of their energy as of yet. Oh my god, this could be a huge blunder from EndlessWaltz. He's already falling in supply. He is reproducing a lot of his supply, and he is almost maxed, or pretty much maxed again, but he's going to be losing so much of his army. He should have been using that fungal growth, only now using it. He could have done so much damage, and that's actually going to buy a lot of time for Mokomi to, one, push across the map before EndlessWaltz can really regroup his entire army, and two, is going to allow him to start that Mothership and get it out in time to deal with the next wave of Broodlords. We see 17 Corruptors. That's going to do a good job of picking off those Colossus and getting a couple more Broodlords, but he is going to have a hard time dealing with that huge Stalker again. We also see just 2 Archons right now, so even if Mokomi does get out the mothership in time. He does not have the Archon counter as of right now. These corruptors are decimating the Colossus of this army, so it looks like EndlessWaltz might be trying to then instead reinforce with a bunch of Zerglings so that those Colossus, with them gone, will not be able to reinforce those Stalkers against those Zerglings. But it looks like for now, EndlessWaltz is going to be in a very rare position. He was playing it out so smart, but losing those Broodlords, not sacrificing the Zerglings to get additional ones, really hurt him. And it looks like he might actually end up losing this game because of that huge blunder. Let's see the kill count on these Colossus. 36 and 27 kills, a massive death penalty from Mokomi, saying you cannot do that. You cannot engage at a bad angle. I'm not going to give you time to remax. So very well played from Mokomi. Also very well played early on from EndlessWaltz. And that's actually going to put this series, this best of 3 series, for Mokomi versus EndlessWaltz into Mokomi's favor. So he's going to be up 1-0. Remember, this is from the loser's bracket, the loser's finals. So the loser of this does get knocked out of the tournament. So who wants to see what happens in the next games? Go ahead and tune in. I should have a link to the game too in the drop down somewhere in the video. Might be around here or something. So go ahead and check that out. Thanks so much for tuning in, guys. I'll see you guys in the next one.